I am Reverend Stephanie Butler Adams, and this is Sistahs on Sacred Grounds. I'm so glad you chose to join us. We have an exciting season for you. We did season 1 during COVID, and now season 2, we're in a brand new place. I can't wait for you to see. Come on, let's go. Sistahs on Sacred Grounds. Welcome again to Sistahs on Sacred Grounds. Now, season 1 was phenomenal. Before we talk about season 2, let's take a look. That was incredible. I cannot believe we did so much in such a little bit of time and with so little. You can do a lot on a shoestring budget, all right? So listen, that was season 1, but season 2 is no less remarkable. We have, to kick us off, the perfect person, because we're going to be talking about something that every woman can relate to, and that is our hair. In this episode, please don't touch my hair. Let's talk about the Black woman's journey and her relationship with her hair. We deal with the stigmas, the inequalities, the victories, and the triumphs, all surrounding the choice of a Black woman to wear her natural hair. You don't want to miss this engaging conversation right here at Sistahs on Sacred Grounds. Right? So we're going to talk about the myth of hair, the magic of hair, sometimes even the controversy of hair, right? Because, you know, when you deal with especially Black hair, everybody has something to say. So I'm so honored and thankful that we have the one and only Supervisor Holly Mitchell. On November 3rd, 2020, former California State Senator Holly J. Mitchell was elected to serve as supervisor of the 2nd District of Los Angeles County, whose constituency includes over 2 million residents. Having authored and passed over 90 laws in the California legislature, Supervisor Mitchell brings an extensive public policy record to her role. Her bills have been at the forefront of expanding healthcare access, addressing systemic racism, and criminal justice reform. As state senator, she was the first African American to serve as chair of the Senate Budget and Fiscal Review Committee. In this capacity, she led the passage of state budgets, each totaling over $200 billion for the 5th largest economy in the world. Recently, Supervisor Mitchell was honored as a 2020 visionary by Oprah Winfrey's O Magazine for making California the first state in the nation to ban natural hair discrimination with the Crown Act. 2nd District LA County Supervisor. Come on out, Holly Mitchell. You're looking beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Thanks for the invitation to your amazing pink and white layer. This is fabulous. This is how girls rock. I appreciate it.
This is how we do it. Well, you look beautiful.
Thank you.
I mean, you're rocking the locks, you're rocking the white, you're rocking the gloss. I mean, I'm loving everything about the look.
I appreciate you.
It fits right in with Sisters on Sacred Ground.
Thank you. You know, when you're a woman policymaker, unlike my male counterparts, you have to figure it out how you go from morning to, so today I've already been at a march on street safety. Wow. We've been to a toy giveaway at the Boys and Girls Chargers Club with Magic Johnson, and then I'm here with you. So I'm glad I was able to work it all out.
We are too. Well, listen, let's get into this.
Yes.
All right. Let me ask you this. Who or what inspired you on your natural hair journey?
So, you know, I think every Black woman has a natural hair journey. Whether you choose to straighten your hair, everybody gets braids when we go to Jamaica for, you know, summer, or when we go to the family reunion in Alabama, everybody goes braids, right? And so my hair journey has been no different from anyone else's. You know, all through high school, I recently found my freshman year ID card. I was rocking braids, you know, 80s with the shells and all of the elaborate bead work. But I turned 40 and I was the leader of a nonprofit organization, Crystal Stairs. We provided childcare to families throughout South LA. And it was just my own personal, I'm 40 and I'm grown awakening, and I decided to lock. I also knew that I was the head of an agency, and so I'd be sending a clear message to a largely female-dominated organization and sector that wearing our hair natural, from my perspective, was professional and acceptable. And so I've now been locked almost 18 years.
Yeah, well, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
You know, biblically, they say, you know, that the woman's hair is her glory.
Right.
Right. And for Black women, sometimes it's our signature, right? Sometimes it's not just our glory and our signature, but it's our crown.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sometimes the crown gets a little, you know, you gotta adjust
sideways,
it, right? So let's get into that, because you were involved with something called the Crown Act.
Yes.
What is the Crown Act, and why is it so important now?
Well, I'm sure all of your viewers have seen the images in the media. Young Black girls being sent home from school for rocking box braids. The young wrestler several years ago now in New Jersey, who was given an option to either cut his locks on the spot or forfeit his wrestling match. And we all saw that horrible video that went viral showing the woman literally hacking his locks off. And so that, in conjunction with Dove, that it did a study of Black women about our own attitudes about our hair, and 80% of us didn't feel we could wear our natural hairstyles in the workplace. So all of that kind of together created this opportunity for me to introduce Senate Bill 188, the Crown Act. And Crown is an acronym. It stands for Creating a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair.
Pause. Let's say it again. Let's speak to our viewers and tell them again. What's the Crown?
To create a respectful and open world for natural hair. Black girl magic is what we say. But when we operationalize it, and when we are empowered Black women and act like it, these coalitions come together and magic happens.
The Crown Act is now law.
That's beautiful.
Isn't it fantastic?
That is beautiful.
It was the brainchild of a woman who worked for me, Tracy Hurd Parker, who we were really struggling with. We wanted to figure out how to communicate what we were going to do to a largely white California state legislature. And so Tracy came up with the acronym. We selected the bill number because 8s have curves like our natural hair. And so we thought it all through. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Now, when you talked about California, you know, you were recently honored by Oprah Winfrey's O Magazine, y'all. Okay? Honored the one and only Supervisor Holly Mitchell because you made California the first state to ban discrimination against natural hair. What was that like for you when you got that honor?
Well, as you can appreciate, to be featured in O Magazine, to go
my
through all of that,
gosh.
and to be recognized by Oprah was a big thing. But the reality is, we created an opportunity
Yeah.
to stop Black women and men from discrimination,
Yeah.
race-based discrimination. Far too many were not getting jobs, not getting promoted, and far too many kids were being sent home for wearing their natural hair to school.
Well, I mean, one thing that I think is amazing is that we as Black people, we have to fight for the right to wear our own hair naturally, the way that it's growing out of our roots. And our allies and other counterparts have never had to fight for that. They just wear their hair. And I wonder what you think about that, because I read a story about a white woman who was locking her hair. And when she got called on it, she told them that, wait a minute, but the Crown Act says that, I can wear these locks. And I just thought, now that's amazing. That's amazing, because once again, they've never had to fight for the right to wear their hair naturally the way it is.
That was the point about the Crown Act, that we were the only group of people whose individual choice was being limited. When people talk about it's not professional, that's because, professionalism and beauty and the beauty standards in this country were based on a European standard of beauty. So that meant straight and in many instances blonde. And so what we did in the law was to acknowledge that hair is a race-based trait. Our hair grows naturally different because we are Black than our European brothers and sisters. And because it is a race-based trait, therefore it should be protected under the law, just like your gender, our age, sexual orientation, all of those things that over the course of time, courts or legislative bodies have protected under the law. So we acknowledged that hair was a race-based trait, then we created a protection for protective styles to be allowed. So locks, twists, braids are protected styles. So that person took a particularly liberal view of the law, because for her hair doesn't naturally grow in a texture that allows it to naturally lock.
I think that is fabulous. I think it's a lot of words. I wanted to get the right one out, right? It's fabulous. And I think that there's a way that we as Black women have to respond to these things without being seen as overly aggressive, because when you hear stuff like that, you kind of feel some kind of way, like you kind of want to say, girl, sit down, but how we respond is so important. Real quickly, how can we get the other states that haven't passed the Crown Act to push it? How do we do that? Help.
I'm so glad you asked that question. So California was the first state. We've been followed now by 14, but there are a lot of states to go. And there's actually a bill in Congress right now. It passed the House of Representatives. It's in the U.S. Senate up for a vote. But if you go to thecrownact.com, the Crown Coalition by Dove and a number of other wonderful organizations, the Links, Western Center on Law and Poverty, are pushing these bills across the country. So if you go to thecrownact.com,
y'all,
sign the petition and let legislators know across the country that you believe in our right to rock our natural hair in the workplace and at school.
I love it. So listen, here at Sisters on Sacred Grounds, we like to drink coffee.
Yes.
So we're just going to take a little coffee break.
Fabulous.
We'll be right back. Go have some coffee, y'all. Be right back. Did you know that research shows Black women score higher on self-esteem than women of other ethnicities? That might be surprising given the long history of discrimination and inequality that we faced, but maybe it's due to the strength of our ancestors who raised us to be resilient and pushed us to succeed despite numerous hurdles. Today's Black women also think more positively about their appearance, embracing our natural beauty, hair, and celebrating our curves, which we've been doing long before body acceptance became a fashionable marketing campaign or a hashtag. And that's today's coffee break.
I'm Emmanuel Thomas, and I am so excited to say that this episode of Sisters on Sacred Ground is being brought to you by the Thomas Firm.
I was working as an editor of a magazine, and my picture appeared in the magazine every month in the letters to the editor column. Somebody wrote in and actually asked, why don't I comb my hair? Which I found really odd because of all the things I've written and all the material that's in this magazine, this is what this person is focusing on.
My family's from the Dominican Republic, and there's a term that I very much fight called pelo malo, which means bad hair. My hair is not bad. Don't say that to children. Don't say that to the people calling their hair bad, because that makes them feel bad, and like there's something about them that is innately, against society or unacceptable.
When I first started wearing my hair natural 2 years ago, I remember my mother saying, "What are you doing?" I think it was just fair. We've been told, wearing your hair straighter is what's more acceptable. So I feel like she was sort of afraid of what I might be faced with, or maybe she thought people would judge me.
I think the most challenging thing about being a Black person in America or a Black woman in America is that you don't really know why people are responding to you in the way that they are. Are they responding to you that way because they're having a bad day, or because you're Black, or because of your hair? The bottom line, it is an undue burden that these are questions that I have to kind of figure out.
Welcome back, everybody. We're having a phenomenal conversation today. We're talking about the Crown Act right here at Sisters on Sacred Grounds. What I'm learning, Supervisor, is that the Crown Act is so much more than hair. It's about empowerment. It's about economic equity. Mm-hmm. It's about inclusion, especially for Black people. Mm-hmm. And it's so much bigger than hair. Do you agree?
I absolutely agree. When the governor signed the bill, it was really profound. It was the first bill he signed, an official bill signing ceremony, the first year he was governor. And, the haters on social media had hit him up the day before, saying, California has so many big, real issues between fires and poverty and the unhoused. And he took a minute and paused and said, this isn't trivial. And we're not going to allow people to trivialize it. It's not just about hair. It's about racial discrimination. And, for me as a Black woman, the only Black woman at that time serving in the California State Senate, rocking my locks, that let me know that he saw me and he heard me and he got it. So it made me very proud. This is about expelling and suspending our children from school, impacting their educational advancement and achievement, and holding people back from economic advancement, either not hiring them, firing them, or keeping people from being promoted. It gave me great pride to stand on the floor of the Senate and use it as a teachable moment for my colleagues who perhaps for years were curious about my hair and didn't quite know how to broach the subject. And so I thought it was most appropriate that I, a woman who's worn her hair in its natural state in locks for my entire public life since I've been elected, to talk about the fact that no one in the legislature ever considered not voting for a Mitchell bill or a Mitchell budget, in that I was chair of the Senate Budget Committee, because of how I wear my hair. My hair choice has nothing to do with my job performance as a state legislator or anyone else.
Wow, that's powerful. Listen, I'm glad you brought that up, because we're going to bring in another one of our sisters who is a defense attorney. We're going to talk about some of our legal, what ramifications are there, and what options do we have when we're come at, I'll say, sideways, for lack of a better term. This is the one and only Mrs. Lakeshia Dorsey. Lakeshia Adeniyi Dorsey is committed to fulfilling her life's calling, that is, dismantling and speaking truth to power systems that separate families, specifically in criminal and family policing systems. Keisha serves as a trial attorney at the Central District Federal Public Defender's Office in California. Prior to working as an FPD, she served as a trial attorney representing indigent clients in criminal proceedings and parents accused of abuse or neglect of their children. Lakeshia is an adjunct professor at her alma mater, Southwestern Law School, where she teaches the course Youth at Risk. She is the immediate past president of the Thurgood Marshall Bar Association and sits as the chair of the Bench and Bar Coalition for the John M. Langston Bar Association. This proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated loves being a new mommy, singing, and traveling with her husband, Reverend Dr. Charles Dorsey. Come on out, Lakeshia.
Hey.
Welcome, welcome. Always so good to see you.
It's so great to see
And
you
you
as
look
well.
beautiful. I haven't seen you in like
Thank
2 years.
I know.
Oh my goodness. So, Keisha, I have to tell you, what Supervisor Mitchell just said about her colleagues maybe not even having thought about, or it never even crossed their mind about this right here, right? I have to tell you that one of the main reasons for this particular episode was a personal experience, okay? I was out to dinner with my husband, and I went to use the restroom, minding my own little business. And I'm washing my hands at the sink, and these 2 white women came in the restroom. And immediately, as she approached the restroom,
We know where
I
this
already,
is going.
right.
Yes.
I was like,
I'm holding my breath. Yes, finish the story.
the woman reached out and said, "Your hair is beautiful. Can I touch it?" And I thought I was going to lose my mind because I've heard the stories. And I'm sure some of you that are watching have had this same experience. I've heard stories. And I've had, even as an international missionary, I travel all over the world. I've even had people want to come and rub my skin.
Yes, as have I.
But never have I ever had somebody try to reach out and grab my hair. And just like you said, you used that as a teachable moment. I tried to use it as a teachable moment because I had all these things going through my mind, like, all right, there's only 3 of us in here. There's only one of us that's looking like me. And if we get into an altercation, they're not going to take them. They're going to take me, And so I thought, oh my God, I was so frazzled by it. So I said, no, you cannot. And I went on to tell her why, because she wanted to know, well, why it's so beautiful, and da-da-da-da-da. And I said, no, that's not cool. And inside I was bubbling up like, I don't know what I'm going to say to her, but listen, no, you cannot. So my question to you, Keisha, is, first of all, I want to know about your natural hair journey. But then I want to know, what if she had touched my hair? As an attorney, what do I do, in that situation? So talk to us, girl.
All right. Well, I'll first start with the first part of your question about my hair journey.
Yes.
I think like many of us who adorn this beautiful black skin, my hair has always been a place where I've been very self-conscious about ever since I was a little girl, into the time that I decided to have the freest moment, I guess, in my hair journey and wear my locks. I think I'll start with that piece of it just for time's sake. But while I say that this is the freest moment that I've had, I still found myself really trying to control the conversation regarding my hair, even when I got it locked, and still trying to have it be as professional as possible in my locks. So, for example, I love my locks, but my preference would have been to have thicker locks, right? But I said, you know what? I'm in the legal profession. I'm a trial attorney, and I tend to be on the side of, what is my jury going to think? So if they wanted me to wear a purple Barney suit and that was going to acquit my client, I would wear the purple Barney suit, right? So when I thought about locking my hair, and Shadana, I think it's going to also be on this segment, I set an appointment, canceled the appointment, set an appointment, canceled an appointment, and then decided to get my hair locked during a time where I was in a rotation with my firm where I wasn't in front of a jury as frequently. And then I policed myself in getting my hair in a lock style that I thought would be more acceptable. And then I told all my colleagues, hey, I'm going to have my hair locked in a few weeks. Like I prepped, so there's still self-regulation that happens.
Yes.
And to your point about what we can do, I think first we have to reform the way that we view our natural hair and the notions of white supremacy that dictate the way that we even see our own hair and police ourselves. But as far as the law is concerned, the only way that we can change the law is to bring cases, okay, and to sign petitions so that we let our legislative bodies know that these are things that we need protection for.
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate that, because I was looking for a recourse. Even though it didn't happen, I wondered what recourse, because this is probably happening all over the world.
Right.
Go ahead.
It's about culture change. Yes, we want the laws to bring forward cases, but we also want culture change. So we want shows like this to talk about it. I think you handled that perfectly. No, you can't touch my hair. When you go to the museum and see the Mona Lisa, you can't walk up there and touch the Mona Lisa. It is a work of art, and it's also about my personal body. But culture shift. USA Today had the Crown Act as a part of their crossword puzzle this last week.
Wow.
The Country Music Awards had a reference to the Crown Act, Country Music Awards. So I think we're beginning to see a culture shift where mainstream America understands, and perhaps in another year or 2 or 5 years, you will encounter women in the restroom who don't look like you, who can just admire your hair from afar and keep it moving.
Yes. Thank you for that. And I think that even for our allies that are watching, you want to be an ally. We're trying to give you some tools to work with, right? We're trying to give you some tools, honey. You don't have to touch it. Just look and say, that is beautiful. Right? Just a compliment. And keep it pushing, as Supervisor said. That's excellent. Listen, so we talked about some of the recourses. Okay, you talked about some changes that needed to be made. I want to find out from each of you, how would you give a young woman professional advice? And I know we're going to wrap in a minute, but this is important. I want you to give a professional woman of color some advice about showing up as their authentic self. Okay, look at our viewers and give them a few words. Just both of you, give them a few words of encouragement.
Well, first, as I said before, I think we need to recognize that the way that we show up, our Blackness is beautiful, our hair is beautiful. And to the extent that people are trying to require us to change the way that we show up in the world, denies us of our humanity. And so it's important to rock your hair naturally, just like every other woman gets to do in this country. And I think that doesn't just impact, that also impacts just how we view and how we see ourselves. And I think, again, if you are being discriminated against, find yourself an employment lawyer and use these laws that have been, that are spreading like wildfire across this country, this Crown Act, to be able to provide legal recourse for yourself and not be silent and kind of acquiesce to the culture and not want to be, I guess, seen as being oppositional, if you will.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. And where can we find you? Where can we follow you? How do we follow you?
Well, I want to be very clear to say I'm a criminal defense attorney. And so, like many of us, there's 5% of black lawyers in this country. And so I understand that my family, my friends will reach out to me for every type of legal question. You go to a heart doctor for heart issues, not a foot doctor. Yes. And so for these types of issues, you would go to a employment lawyer. That being said, if you only know one Black attorney that doesn't practice in this area, we can find a referral because we are community. There's 5% of us. We all know each other.
Excellent. Excellent. And Supervisor Mitchell, remind us, how can we get in touch with you and how can we join forces, with your efforts in the 2nd District in LA County?
I appreciate that very much. My handle is Holly J. Mitchell on all social media platforms, and Mitchell at lacounty.gov.
Did you get that?
Mitchell.lacounty.gov is my county website. And my piece of advice is, at 40, I was at a particular station in life with a certain level of confidence to make the decision. I was also the employer, so I didn't have to worry about discrimination. But trust. Bring your full self to wherever you are. Don't let the hairstyle or the clothes wear you. You wear them. And that's advice for young women to start practicing. So at 40, at 50, at whatever, you can walk into a room and own it however you choose to wear your hair.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I hope you learned a lot today about the Crown Act Sisters. Listen, I'm going to ask you to fill in the blank. One word. You only have one word. My hair is
gorgeous.
My hair is
all me.
And I would say my hair is my word, liberation. So Sisters on Sacred Grounds, as we move forward in our hair journey, whatever journey you're on, we want you to remember that you're beautiful, that you are all you, right? And that you can be liberated through your hair, and not just your hair, but your inner spirit. So you stay well, stay safe, and we'll see you next time right here at Sisters on Sacred Ground. Bye.